Hey everyone, and welcome back to another episode of the Supermarketers Podcast, where marketers level up with AI. And recently, we've been focusing a lot on LLM SEO and answer engine visibility, which is perfect for today's guest, Carl Holden, who is the founder of RankBot AI. Carl, how's it going today?
Great. I'm excited to be here. I talk about SEO all the time, so this is perfect for me.
Perfect. And you are the RankBot overlord or the robot overlord. You manage an army of bots. Describe to me what RankBot does, but really kind of like the field that it plays in terms of link building and how that impacts SEO and answer engine optimization.
Sure. So I find it appropriate to wear my shirt and my hat today to help people understand that I run an agency that helps businesses rank higher in Google. I've been doing that for 13 years. When ChatGPT came out, I realized that AI is going to change everything. So I spent the 6 months after that launch taking almost 200 hours of courses through Coursera and uh, different college courses online, LinkedIn, Microsoft. I really want to understand how it works so that I could apply it to my agency. And after a while of working with it, I thought, there's certain parts of my job that somebody could just automate out and build a bot to do that. And decided, well, I could be that guy. I could build that bot. And so, with two technical co founders, we also launched a RankBot. It's a separate company, and what RankBot does is a portion of what like an agency myself would do, which is figure out what you want to rank for through your website, write articles and broker deals out on the internet that get you referenced on high authority domain websites, which those signals, external website link signals, no matter if you're using Google or ChatGPT or Perplexity, that's all a part of their algorithms that link authority or other websites referencing to you are how they then rank those lists. Whether or not they give those lists to you in a blue list of links or paragraph, AIO, SEO, GEO, they all run under the same large machine learning algorithms of ranking sites. So the link building is always going to be something, whether or not you are searching in Google or the other search engines, because I'm sure, as you know, you can't take the entirety of an internet and put that into the context window of an AI and then ask it for the best result. It doesn't do that. It does a search, looks at the search results, and then gives you an answer.
Yeah. Now, help me understand. I've never done link building. I understand it conceptually, but walk me through the process of how I could take that manual process and automate it. Where, let's say, for example, I'm covering a topic of SMS marketing, and I want to sell more with my SMS marketing tool. Help me understand how I would identify the sites that I'd want to get a link to, how I would reach out, what that process looks like, and then what I might expect as a ROI, like in a quantified way.
Sure. So there are a lot of vendors, there are a lot of companies, and I've spent my own time throughout the years kind of connecting manually to different site owners, all of which kind of you would want to get featured on a blog that has a lot of other articles about technology. And your smstoolbox.com, you would want that somewhere referenced on that site's blog. Now, a lot of these sites do have contact information that many of them were built somewhat for SEO purposes, but they still have a high enough domain authority. Lots of companies will pitch to you, we do white label SEO, where we will email companies and ask them for a link. Those don't work. Nobody does anything for free. And that is also breaking the terms of service of Google just as much as if you brokered the deal with money. Google's role for SEO is to not do it. And whenever people say, well, link building's not good, you should just email people for links. Read the Google rules. So by therefore doing it, you're breaking technically what Google says you shouldn't do. But guess what Google lets people run ads for? Link building sites. You can search link building and they let you run ads. They get that websites want to invest time and effort into getting referenced. They understand that's how their algorithm works. And I think partly they just think if you're going to put time and effort in getting yourself referenced, you probably deserve to rank over time. And so they have allowed this ecosystem to happen. What I have done is built the ecosystem manually so that I can pass along savings and not mark it up 500%. The bot, instead of a person, will email the content creator an article that is a certain quality grade, that inside of it it says SMS tool. An SMS tool links to that smlstoolbox.com in an article that isn't per se like a pitch of your company, but just 5 great tools for marketing online. And your SMS tool happens to be one of those referenced. When Google finds this article that you worked on getting landed, that's a little drop in the bucket for the algorithm. Link building is simply working together with all kinds of other content creators to do this. There are other companies like uh, Rhino Rank or Fat Joe that you can buy links from at a pretty high cost. And part of what AI does is if it cuts out some of that human effort, you're able to create a cost savings. And that's what we've done with RankBot is the ability to get you a link at pretty much 50% the cost if you bought it anywhere else. And you don't
Okay,
have to
got it.
do anything. It literally just makes them for you.
And so you're also creating the post.
Yes, it writes the post,
Yeah.
sends it to the content creator, gets it approved, waits for it to get posted. When it gets emailed back, it checks that everything works, that the link works, and then hands it back to you. I literally pay people in my agency to do that. It's completely hands off with the bot.
Got it. So, what have you seen in terms of answer engine optimization and backlinks? Like, I've seen that now listicles might work because that is one way where an LLM conversation might focus on bottom of funnel and comparisons and alternatives. Have you seen that, or what type of content have you seen that's most effective for maybe getting citations or mentions in answer engines?
So my argument would be that if you search, especially in like let's say Gemini or ChatGPT, which for the most part uses Bing API, the answers it gives you, 90% of those answers were on the first page of a query. And oftentimes you can kind of red team the AI to say, what did you search in order to get these answers? And it'll oftentimes just give you the phrase that it looked up in the API. So there is no AI optimization for the most part. If you rank well in just normal SEO, you generally show up in these systems. Other than answering and adding more content in case someone verbally says a longer question, that is somewhat answer engine optimization. But if you say, hey, I'm looking for a lawyer in Cleveland, it will type lawyer in Cleveland into Bing, pull the search results, and then grab a couple of them, maybe look at one site, summarize it from there. It's just doing what we were doing in search engines, just kind of cutting out the middleman of going and pulling that info off of the sites. But a short answer to my long answer, it's just doing SEO.
Yeah. And so if I were to say build an agent then and I for SMS toolbox, I'd want to understand what my entities are, what the topics I'm covering are, see what pages show up, maybe what the competitor URLs are, and then I'm looking through the external links of those sites, scraping the content or contact on those sites, and then reaching out with an email. Hey, I'd love to do an exchange. Maybe it's like a wink, wink, or I'll just write a guest blog post for compensation, and then that starts a conversation. Am I getting that right?
And that's how you would do it manually beforehand. Here's the problem: about 19 out of 20 times, you'll never get an answer back from that website. And so you spend a bunch of time emailing these sites, asking, going back and forth. That's the shortcut that something like RankBot does is we have already built an ecosystem of the sites that are already willing to kind of exchange. And that's what we have built out. And so what you need to just figure out is what's a great content to put on my site. RankBot takes care of site content out there being referenced to you. You don't have to give it topics. It comes up with the topics. It's getting you referenced out on the internet for the keywords. What you do have to focus on in anything is, what do you want to rank for, general broad terms. Obviously, SMS marketing tool. You go into Google Keyword Planner and see that SMS marketing tool gets searched 2,000 times a month. If you show up for that phrase, if someone searches what is a good SMS marketing tool in ChatGPT, likely ChatGPT is just going to search SMS marketing tool in a search engine and you'll still show up. So you want to drive any kind of search effort behind keyword traffic data. If it's being searched a lot, build content pillars around the specific phrases that are being searched frequently.
Yep. Yeah, SEMrush has a tool. I think the keyword magic tool. Basically, you give it one keyword and it'll build like the pillar page. Then you have the sub pages. Or another way of doing that is just finding what those related search terms are. So you could do like a broad match for SMS marketing tool, or you could also just search for questions. And so people are saying that question-based content is very helpful because ultimately that's what large language models are providing, are answers to questions or solutions to problems that are posed.
For sure. And RankBot, you can actually ask it SEO questions about your website, and it'll give you answers of things that you should work on. But ChatGPT or Gemini are generally good enough to tell you like on-page advice. Well, the corner of the market that we're trying to grab that really not many people have done is the external link signals, the other websites referencing to you. How do you get that at scale at an affordable rate while you focus on the content of your own site?
Mm-hmm. Now, how are you seeing the future of off-page SEO strategy changing in the future? For example, just this week, Reddit stock plummeted a lot as Google made it harder to track results that were past page 10, right? Or the 10th result. So all of a sudden, people are no longer seeing Reddit citations in a Google LLM as much. People just on the stock market notice. So there's a lot of variance, and it's very fickle based on the algorithm, right? Like where the LLMs are pulling their information, and that I think that does include some of the sites that you're building the links to. How are you addressing that strategy going forward, and how do you see it playing out?
Well, the kind of back end that you don't see to an operation like this is the constant monitoring of sites to make sure they have a quality level and that they are being indexed by Google and that they keep a good domain authority. That's all stuff you kind of have to watch over the long term. The advantage of having something like RankBot is that the back end of what it's talking to is not anything you have to worry about, because we only want it to link to sites that are good, that do have that authority in Google. But that's also why running an agency concurrently while running this SaaS startup is really helpful, because the day to day employees that I talk to and sites where we are like, let's drop this site, let's not use them anymore, they've completely de indexed. We're already doing that work. So I'm able to pretty much just transfer over any of those lessons and changes into the bot on a monthly basis.
Nice. Yeah. So talk to me about that. Like, what have you seen in terms of um, strategies that might be working in terms of being the brand that LLMs will cite when giving an answer?
Yeah, of course you want to get referenced on Reddit in a it still has value. Google still counts those links, but it's really hard to spam them in any kind
Mm-hmm.
of way. They have really high spam bot and very smart spam bots. You can't just build links on Reddit very easily. Um, and every time that they figure out a way, Reddit tries to get rid of it. They're very spam averse, which is important. Uh, Generally, you want to get referenced out on really well known high traffic blogs, but you have to earn that. You have to be an authority in the space. You have to really have some kind of social presence. That happens organically. The types of sites that myself or RankBot get you listed in are kind of like the medium level, good enough sites that they're willing to give you a spot in it in order for a little exchange of money. They get indexed on Google if they're, occasionally you search a certain phrase, that page might show up on the first page. And that's the kind of internet that you can get links that you need at scale. And as you build up regular links every single month, Google can't help but ignore that. And then in your general PR side marketing, work on trying to get those high traffic, high value website links as well. But that is not something I foresee a robot or any other kind of AI program automating. That's still very much a human process to get on Forbes.com, or you got to know who you got to know on those types of sites.
Yeah. I think you've covered some of the strategies or some of the things that you might suggest for a client, for example, who's just starting out, who's coming to you to say, I want to increase my citations or mentions in LLMs. But are there any other key things maybe that marketers aren't talking about enough or is underrated in terms of a strategy to increase LLM visibility?
One of the strategies we're working at with Zealous is just being more visible in all the different platforms. TikTok, Instagram, and YouTube Shorts all have higher mentions in a search than they ever have, and are even getting referenced sometimes out in these AI answers. So the big thing that a lot of marketers have to realize is that video has always been coming for your lunch. And if you're not a part of the video ecosystem or helping your clients get referenced in these, you could potentially be missing out on being referenced in those. I think that's a part of where we're shifting. And then overemphasis on any one platform, like Reddit, will bite you in the butt. You have to diversify where you're being referenced and do it regularly. And that just casts the widest net.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. uh, you before we started, you were telling me about some of the interesting like tools. Seems like you're a tinkerer with video, creating these RankBot videos. Talk to me about what you're using AI for on a day-to-day basis as the founder of both the marketing agency and a SaaS product. Probably overextended. You want to get more for the time that you put in. What are some interesting ways that you're using AI in your day-to-day?
Well, one of the fun things that we've done that any marketer listening to this that maybe hasn't thought about that. So we're going to the Marketing AI conference next week in Cleveland, Ohio. We're going to have a booth there. So if anybody's listening, please come by and say hello. Um, I wanted to create, because marketers have laptops and put stickers on the back of their laptops. So I built out 12 different stickers for our booth. And so I took RankBot's face and then gave that and a meme and said to ChatGPT, make this meme, but with this robot's head, and it will match it perfectly. No photoshopping whatsoever. Sometimes it would even turn the cartoon head into a real robot head and stick it in the photo. So the mashing together of your brand with memes or other photos, I think that's something that's like largely underutilized to that creativity of how can I use this as a remix. And then also, we're about to see a huge, even bigger explosion with now VO3 and Sora 2 as far as video. But for the most part, it's just people posting on LinkedIn. Look at this cool video of this movie that I made that isn't really a movie. It's just 6-second segments all kind of cut together with a voiceover. I do have started to see some actual advertising and marketing using footage where you see a drone shot over a mountain, but the mountain is blue. And that's them using AI in a creative way. I think there's a lot of these tools, and we use them in like social media accounts to a certain extent to just be able to ideate faster. And then, on certain senses, just it's a part of our creative building. And I think as any marketers, you have to recognize that AI isn't just touching SEO or content creation. It's literally anything that can be made video, audio, or written word can be assisted by AI. It still takes a creative human hand to make it be something that someone will stop and look at. There is plenty of AI slop. That's the biggest issue is that I would tell people to avoid is don't AI slop it out there. I'm getting a little tired of the here's my AI prompt tool. You should comment LinkedIn on my comments to and I'm like, oh my gosh, like these guys have never actually run any kind of marketing thing, and their prompt is only going viral because they're gaming the algorithm of LinkedIn for comments. I don't think that kind of stuff is sustainable, these LinkedIn AI kind of guru people. And I like your content, by the way, because you don't do that stuff. Thank you.
Oh, thank you.
You're actually like I watch his stuff and I know you don't get as much as the other people, but you aren't also like BSing people. I do think over time that authenticity will shake out these people who are just being obnoxious.
Yeah. I do agree. But if marketing is about attention, they're capturing attention and some arbitrage of like, that curiosity gap, engage. Like I do agree. It has a limited shelf life. I haven't done it yet, but I've heard it works, and yeah, I just haven't. But I guess marketers are doing that, right? Getting attention.
Well, there's
But that also,
a niche of marketing AI tools that it works in. Look at any other industry of people creating tool sets or whatever, and those don't work on LinkedIn. So it's
yeah,
very niche based too.
totally. I think it's because there's some upside that could be impactful, like, oh, I could use this, but then there's also some shiny object syndrome,
Correct.
and that's yeah, that is fading. But one kind of side note that I was thinking about is YouTube actually recently came out with collaborations where you can create something on your YouTube channel and then you're including somebody else, so it's being promoted to both your channels, which is actually maybe what the next iteration of guest link or backlinks would be, because the text that's a voice to text that becomes fodder for the large language models. But then also it totally makes sense that you might want to do a pay for play, include me as a collaborator in the YouTube video, and then you're getting the increased reach. So who knows, maybe that's where things also shake out in the next few years.
I definitely think you're right on track where Google now can reliably both pull the text out of these videos and then index it, where you're just seeing a lot more of those little YouTube widgets inside of a search result. You're going to probably see that in ChatGPT and other places where they're going to pull that from existing video platforms as part of the answer.
Yeah. Now, Carl, last question is for somebody who wants to become a better marketer with AI and kind of like in this content realm, answer engine optimization space, what might you recommend to set them down the right path?
Well, obviously, I would love for people to check out RankBot, and they can go to rankbot.ai to get a free account and just try it and see what it does. I think generally you just have to do what you and I do regularly, which is kind of watch LinkedIn, listen to podcasts that are specific to that are talking about the industry, and follow people who seem to be doing it in actual practicality, not just pitching tools. And I think if you follow people and pretty much accept the fact that as a marketer, you cannot exist in this industry without pretty fervent continuing education, or you will be out of a job. AI is not going to take your job. People who know how to use AI are going to take your job. And I think that's the biggest thing is that as marketers, if you can't take the intense heat of constant education, get out of the oven.
Totally. Hopefully you're not in the oven too long,
it,
but it is heating up.
it gets a little hot, but I mean,
Yeah,
you got to take breaks and cool off, and take a week break from AI, but you have to stay on it in order to stay current.
for sure. Carl, thank you so much for sharing your ideas, your insights, your strategies. What's the best place to find you online?
I'm very responsive on LinkedIn. Obviously, you and I connected on there. So I get pretty regular connection requests on there. I actually respond. Um, will accept most connections, but if people immediately just follow up with one of those automated sales messages, I might unfollow you. But if you send me
Oh
with a
yeah, yeah.
genuine question of, "Hey, I saw your podcast," or "Hey, what's your thoughts on this?" But I don't want your lead email tool, those kinds of things. Please don't do that. Nobody likes that. But like, if you want to have a conversation about AI and search and maybe how that interacts with email, I'm open to a conversation. But again, authenticity is important to me.
Absolutely. All right, Carl Holden, thank you so much.
Thanks. Have a great day.